Happy spring! I wanted to record this quick video for you here. Amidst the yellow, it seems like our garden is full of yellow right now with like the daffodils, the forsythia. There's more little yellow flowers just popping up all over the place. Anywho, I wanted to share this with you because this time of year, we're right in the midst of Lent. And even though I don't identify as Catholic, I have often found that Lent is a really interesting time of year. I appreciate the observance of being able to give ourselves a moment, a few weeks, several weeks, to go without something so that it saves more space for something else. And so in a way, this is a form of setting boundaries. And it is also, it's also a form of brahmacharya. So there are lots of different traditions that follow this. And forgive the background noise. I'm in my front yard, and so you might hear the car going by. Anyhow, so I wanted to share with you a specific example for me that I decided to choose this year, and just to kind of let you know how that's going so far. So when I was contemplating what I wanted to create some boundaries around for myself and to start to repattern some habits that I had recognized I was on a little bit of a slippery slope, and sometimes you don't realize you're on the slippery slope until you're already like a ways down that slope. So that's what happened to me this year. And I realized that I had been sliding on my morning practice, which I had been for a really long time quite diligent and disciplined around doing a morning meditation practice, including some pranayama, like some breathing and some meditation and some other yoga before starting my day. And I realized that I wasn't really doing that so much anymore. And what was I doing? I mean, occasionally I was, but not as regularly as I used to. And what was I doing instead? Oh, picking up my phone, which is all too common. Or it's very common anyway. I don't know about too common. That's a judgment there. But I know for myself, it was becoming a too common experience in my own life that I realized that really like starting my day with meditation really set myself I was setting myself up for a very different experience of the day than when I was starting the day picking up my phone. So I decided to play a little game with myself. Sometimes, sorry, that's Juniper. Juniper, the dog, is just realizing that I'm in the front yard talking. So she's like coming to say hi, letting Mike, who's in the backyard, know that I'm out here. Anyway, I'm going to just leave this unedited, so thanks for being with me here amidst the imperfection. All right, so getting back to what I was saying. So I decided that for myself, I wanted to revisit or reintroduce the habit of starting my day with my morning meditation, even if it's like 5 minutes, just like, and if I can't take 5 minutes for myself in the morning, then like, oh my gosh, so 5 minutes. And so recognizing that the competing habit with this was picking up my phone, I decided that I would, at the end of each night, helping to set myself up for a win the next day, I would actually turn off my phone. And I have a Fitbit that I can use for my alarm, so I don't have to use my phone for my alarm. So I would turn off my alarm, and that would just give me like one more layer so that in the morning time, if I went to reach for my phone and picked it up, I would realize, oh, right, it's off. Oh, right, that's because I'm supposed to be doing my morning meditation, or, supposed to, like I'd set for myself the intention of doing my morning meditation before checking my phone. So and then I ended up kind of like a few days in realized that it's almost like I could use the desire to check my phone as like the carrot, the reward for doing my morning meditation. So it was like, okay, so I wasn't going to allow myself to pick up my phone until I had completed my morning meditation. And that it was amazing how many mornings, especially at the beginning there, I'd be like, but I really want to check my phone, like instead of feeling like, oh, but I really want to do my morning meditation, it's funny how those habits can just be like, they can be so sneaky, and can get really well established, before we even really fully recognize the full extent to which it's been that way. And so I was able to like harness my desire to look at my phone and use that as like fuel to like get me to do my morning meditation. So that was really great. And I was kind of like very shortly into this exercise, I realized that the other part of just like checking my phone was like not only checking, any messages or checking the weather or, other things that I do on my phone, but also there's a layer of like checking my email. So checking my email, it's like a whole rabbit hole of possibility, which I imagine you can relate to. And so I realized that that in addition to letting myself check my phone after my morning meditation, I realized that I actually needed to set another boundary for myself where I wouldn't actually get into like my email or any kind of like social media or anything like that. Anything where I actually had to like put energy towards responding to stuff and getting back to people and that kind of thing. I wouldn't actually let myself do that until after I was showered and dressed for the day. And I know this may seem like basic, but also I will say that I have gotten myself into trouble by, opening up the Pandora's box of my inbox and then getting all caught up in replying to emails and like sending people emails and like, email land, only to realize that I, have an appointment that's in like 15 minutes and I'm still in my pajamas. Can you relate? Has this ever happened to you? I want to imagine I'm not the only one. And this has very much been like, post-pandemic, because with like so many Zoom appointments and that kind of thing, it's like, especially in the summertime, like sometimes it can only, I can get away with like, hopping in the shower and then like, jumping out of the shower, putting on a sundress and then like hopping onto the Zoom screen, and that all takes me less than 10 minutes. But that's not always the case for every kind of appointment. So anyway, I just wanted to share these examples with you from my own Lent experience here in 2025. And, we still have a little ways to go until Easter time. And so I thought that I would put this out now instead of at the end when I'm finishing, because as often is the case when I have, chosen for myself like what it is that I want to do for Lent, I'm realizing that these are actually really beautiful patterns of behavior for myself that I would like to continue to carry forward even beyond Lent. And so I find that, Lent, because it's a specific amount of time, it's a really nice opportunity to kind of like test things out, because again, that there's like an end date that's not that far away, and so you can kind of put something to the test without it being like and forevermore I'm going to do this thing, which can often create a lot more resistance to creating those changes than if we're like, okay, well, I'm just going to like experiment with this for a certain amount of time and see how it goes, and then I can always make a different decision at the end of that time, and so on and so forth. So I am curious, is there something in your life that you are recognizing, probably is in your best interest as far as like your long-term well-being goes, even potentially your short-term well-being too? If you gave yourself a bit of a pause from that pattern of behavior, from that habit, so that you could create more space for something that feels like it's actually more beneficial for you. And if so, is there something that you would like to experiment with for like the next week or so? I would love to hear about it. So you can drop a comment below. I would love to hear what you might feel inspired to play with for the next like a week and a half-ish. you know, or if any other part of this is resonating, you know, do you find yourself checking your phone while you're still in your pajamas, and before you've done your morning routine? You know, like I would love to know how that's going for you. And P.S., something that I also wanted to mention about meditation first thing in the morning is that, like, when we first wake up, our brain waves are still, you know, before we've like fully woken up, and certainly like before we've had like caffeine or any kind of anything, our brain waves are already in a more meditative state to begin with. So it's actually much easier brainwave wise for us to slip into that meditative state like as soon as we wake up. And so if you find yourself like wanting to meditate but kind of struggling because you find that it's, you know, your mind is just like, you know, full steam ahead, and like trying to like sit still and like focus on anything is just like way too big of a task, then you might want to experiment and try it first thing in the morning, like before you've really fully woken up, and see how that feels. See if it feels like it might be easier to be able to just kind of tap into that way of being. Plus, I know that when we are wanting to have the desire to meditate, but our brains are going a million miles a minute, it can be helpful to actually like follow along with some guided meditations. And so if you would love to follow along with a guided meditation, please let me know. I mean, obviously there's so many that you could follow, but I have also created quite a collection of them myself. And so I would be so happy to share a guided meditation with you. So you can message me or just drop a comment, and let me know if there's anything that you would particularly like to be meditating about, because then I can like give you the one that feels like it's going to be the most closely aligned with what you're looking for. And or if you know, if you're happy, like, you know, dealer's choice, if you're happy to just like, you know, have me choose one for you, I'm happy to do that too. And yeah, all right, okay, I am going to end this here. You know, when I aim to make short videos, apparently they're still like 10 minutes long. So I hope that this is landing for you. I hope that wherever you are in the world that you are having a beautiful day. And I very much look forward to being connected. So please don't be shy to reach out. You can comment, you can message me, you can email me, dove@meadowdove.ca. That's DOVE at MEADOWDOVE.ca. I love hearing from you and responding. All right, beaming you so much love. Until next time.